Mike McDaniel for the Miami Dolphins benched Tua. He announced that he was benching him, and he was starting Quinn Ewers. Obviously, they got boat raced by the Bengals. Okay, great. Regarding Tua, just a Tua retrospective and where we stand with the Miami Dolphins and with Mike McDaniel. Should he be the coach going forward? Was this the right decision? Let me tackle Tua, and then I'll tackle Mike McDaniel. Tua isn't talented enough to be a franchise quarterback. We've known that. Like, people keep pretending he's something he's not, because when he first got with McDaniel, it looked nice when everything's working and it's in structure. That's kind of the problem. Everything has to be going perfect for him to succeed. I mean, he was the quarterback at Alabama. What he did coming in as a freshman, winning that game, amazing. He's kind of been riding off of that since. After that, they ended up getting blown out by Clemson in a national championship game. Like, absolutely blown out. Weren't even competitive. He got hurt that other season. And we've seen the injuries. The injuries stack up one after the other in the NFL. That's a problem on its own. He's smaller frame. He's injury prone. It's a real concern. The fact that your quarterback cannot get hit at all. You're really game planning with one arm tied behind your back. Every head coach, every play caller, every offensive coordinator, they want to protect their quarterback. They don't want them to get hurt. They're not going to put them in unnecessary risky situations, other than Brian Daboll and Jackson Dart. He did that all the time, and he got fired. Most coaches aren't going to do that. It's not that's the problem with Tua. It's that you can't have him get touched or hit at all. So when he's standing in the pocket and a play's developing perfectly, and he's got a guy that's going to be coming open and he just has to throw it, the problem is he's going to get lit up by this edge rusher coming, and he just needs to stand in there and take the hit and deliver it. He won't do it. He'll throw to the check down or go down because he doesn't want to get hit. Can't even say I blame the guy at this point, because every time he gets hit, it's a collective holding of breath in the stadium. But I can't have you as my franchise quarterback if that's the case. Like, what are we doing? They should have never given him the contract, and it's an example of bad business. Maybe franchise are finally learning that. You can't pay a quarterback unless you are certain he's the guy. If there's any doubt at all, that he is your franchise guy, you can win games because of him, not just with him, but because of him. If that's not the case, that's the question. When I'm signing a quarterback, can I win games because of the quarterback? Not with, can he win games for us? If the answer is no, don't sign him to a $55 million a year contract. And it got out of hand there for a while where everybody was getting paid. Kyler, Tua, Trevor, all these guys, Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy's good, obviously. Like, he's not in the same category as these guys. Like, I'm not trying to say that. However, Miami should have never paid him. They were bidding against themselves. No one was going to go and give Tua a $50 million contract. Nobody. But Chris Greer drafted him above Justin Herbert, which a lot of guys would have. Not, okay, it happens. The problem is he doubled down on the decision because he's like, I'm not wrong. Tua, I'm signing Tua. He's our guy. He was the right pick. Everything's going to work out. And that was really the decision that set this franchise back, that kind of killed him. No other franchise would have given him this much money, even at the time. And it just got worse after that. Tua looked good to start with because Mike McDaniel schemed everything perfectly for him. And you had the elite speed with Hill and with Waddle. So he just had to get the ball out. And Tua is accurate, so particularly on intermediate stuff. So he just had to get the ball out and the guys would make plays. And with all those, motions, quick motions, full speed motions, it caught everybody off guard. Once the league kind of, adapted to it and saw, oh, well, yeah, but Tua's got all these other limitations. That was it, and they looked terrible ever since then. If you don't mind, please subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on a video. We're talking the NFL all season long. Back to the video. What happens to Tua after this? I think that's it. Who would want you? Who would even want him as their backup? The whole point of a backup is if my starter gets hurt, can you come in, run the offense, and win me half of the games you have to play, ideally? Well, if Tua comes in, one, he's got to play a very certain way for you to have any sort of success. And two, he's got a very high injury risk. So I can't have a backup who's more likely to get injured than my starter. I think it's a non-starter. And with the contract, I really do think Tua's NFL career's over. Maybe there's a team out there desperate enough to bring him in and, take him to training camp and see what happens. I wouldn't do it. I don't think you could. I'd take a bet on any of these other guys on practice squads, undrafted guys, young college guys that I might could turn into something. I think Tua is a non-starter. It's a shame, but he got paid. That's what it is. Let's move on to the coach, Mike McDaniel. There was a lot of steam earlier in the year gaining that he needed to be fired. Fire McDaniel. It was all going downhill. Then Miami made the decision to get rid of the GM, Chris Grier, which was the right decision because Chris Grier was a disaster, okay? I think I would keep McDaniel because he's proven that he's a really good, smart offensive mind, all right? The problem I've had with him in the past has been that people talking about being late for team meetings. It seems like no one kind of respected him in the organization. There's been a lot of stuff, but the more Tua's gone to the podium, the more Tua's talked, seems like he might be a lot of that problem. So, that's something that I don't really quite have fully worked out yet. I don't know if it's all McDaniel, if it's Tua, if it was Grier, because once they fired Grier, they started winning football games. And it did look like a different football team there for a minute, which I think is a perfect example that the GM was meddling in football affairs. And that's just the truth of the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel. He's been handicapped by all of Chris Grier's mistakes. They've been better since he left. Not only has he been handicapped by Grier, he was handicapped by Tua. He's having to, do all of this, like I said, with a hand tied behind his back. He can't run a proper offense because he is so limited by his quarterback. He has to do things a very specific way and hope the quarterback executes it because otherwise they're just going to get destroyed. When he's able to be free, I think you see the creativity. The other part of it is even if you said, okay, but besides all that, I don't love all of the guys being late, the disrespect. It seems like maybe he's just not a head coach. Okay, I could probably, I'm not sure on that point yet, but let's say I want to go with you. I don't think there's any great coaches on the market right now. If you fire Mike McDaniel, who are you going to get? Like, who is the hot coordinator you're going to go and hire? Because last year they existed. You had the Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen. There's just really none of those guys this year. And a lot of the top names I see are like college guys like Marcus Freeman. I wouldn't bring Marcus Freeman in over Mike McDaniel, a guy who's never coached in the NFL. If anything, I just think the wise decision is, bring in a GM, let McDaniel run at least another year. I'm not saying you tell him, hey, one more year, but just keep McDaniel and see how next season goes. Because if it starts to fall apart, you're going to have to deal with the quarterback situation. It's not like your circumstance is going to be ideal regardless. Let him run it 1 year without Tua, see how you can manage things. And then if you want to move on from him, okay, after next season, after 2026, there's probably going to be a better talent pool of head coaches, of head coaching candidates to pick from. I think that's the wise move for Miami. They made the right decision. McDaniel made the right decision. Moving on from Tua, it's time. You just have to acknowledge it. I think Miami should stick with the coach for at least another year and see what he can get out of it because you can't overstate how limited he's been because of the quarterback play he got.